We're in the mountains, Adam.
Yeah, man. Again.
Well, good morning. I tried to make a video yesterday, and it was really good, except we got our facts wrong.
Yeah, indeed.
We were mathing on the highway, and we didn't move our decimal point. We were off.
Our math wasn't mathing.
Nothing. So the reason I want to make this video is I want to help producers make more money with their crop. So in essence, Galt is designed to help producers make more syrup, ergo make more money. That is our only function. That's it. And if you do that well, you don't have to worry about profit. So the only function of Galt Evaporator Company is to help producers make more syrup, ergo make more money. And this is a big one. You're going to want to save this one. You're going to want to definitely subscribe. You're going to want to definitely save this in your favorites and come back to it, because it's going to take probably a couple times watching this to really follow every detail. The biggest issue we see for producers and for the producer's sake, and we have data upon data. I'm not guessing, this is not an opinion. I have data. Is producers give a lot of syrup away. Remind me to come back to we get paid by the pound argument, because it's dumb, and I'll explain it. But we get paid by the pound. That's very bad logic. So if you're over bricks, you're giving money away. And we have data upon data. There isn't really a producer out there that puts syrup consistently in large quantities in a drum at the proper density. That's what we do. That's what packers do. So we want everything at the correct density in 2,000 gallon batches, so every bottle's the same. Well, if you're trying to correct density off of your evaporator in your draw-off tank, you've already lost. It's not really possible. Some of you will argue this, which is fine. If you really think you can do it off the evaporator, I would go ahead and put it in the comments, because I would love to come. I don't even know if it's worth my time, because if you already think you can, I'm not going to bother. It's just going to be, I'm going to be arguing with an idiot. So I don't want to do that. My time's valuable. The density correction has so much value to the producer. I estimate on the low end, every producer is losing at least 2% of the crop. On the high end, it's probably 5%. So somewhere in there, it's an average. I would say even large producers making 1 million pounds, if they're making 100 drums, they would be making 103 drums. And the value of that, so an extra 3% on your crop, what's that worth? Well, if you're making 1 million pounds, that's $100,000 a year. And $100,000 a year over 10 years, that's $1 million. This is the biggest value that I can offer the maple industry. This is one of them. And this is a bit conceptual, and I'm trying to explain it, but this is what we do. Not only is it what Bissell Maple Farm does, this is what I did professionally. So I don't know if you know this, but I'm not really a maple farmer. I'm not really a maple farmer. I love it. My dad's a maple farmer, but I got 3 sons. It skips a generation, if we're honest. My dad loves making the syrup. I love the equipment. I love the evaporators. I love the ROs. I love everything about the industrious side of it. I'm not really a maple farmer, but I got 3 sons. So one of them, and I could probably tell you, they're all different, but I can tell you probably which one is going to be more like my dad. It skips a generation. But my gift is chemical engineering in the maple industry. So this is something I'm not a dummy at this. I did this professionally. So getting your density correct and doing it off the evaporator is really difficult. I tried it one year because I'm I don't know how Bascom's so cheap. For crying out loud. I was getting my butt kicked in Cincinnati at this coffee shop, by the drum. I'm like, I can do this. And they really wanted Ohio syrup. So I'm like, this year I'm going to make it off the evaporator. I'm going to make my... Dude, there's so much going on when you're making syrup. To try to get it in the drum at the correct density, it's almost laughable. Because I set out with a plan to do it. I know how to do it. And I was just fine, like, screw it. And I just sold syrup that was too dense to my customers. So not only did I have to, compete on price by not heating it up twice and filtering it twice, not only did I have to do that, I actually gave syrup away. The very thing that this whole topic is about. So, the best way to do this, in my opinion, is do everything exactly the same way you're doing it. And then you need what I call a proofing tank. Sometimes I'll call it a normalizing tank. But in the spirit industry, when they are proofing their bourbon, the spirit goes into the barrel at a much higher proof. It's very high alcohol. And it makes sense because you only have so much cooperage. You don't want to dilute it with water before you put it in the barrel. They dilute it after. So when they proof something, say 90 proof, that's 45% alcohol. Well, it comes out of the barrel. You ever heard the word barrel proof? Like, it's hot. Like, that stuff's flammable, man. Well, I think every producer needs a proofing tank for sanity, for profit, for organization, for your customers, and a proofing tank will pay for itself like really fast, especially on a larger scale. So you're going to need hot water. You're going to need a hot water source. You're going to need to control that hot water, either with a pump and thermocouple or a control system, and you're going to need a tank that's jacketed that you can maintain. So after you filter it, you want to pump it to a proofing tank. This proofing tank must have an acceptable mixer. If you find yourself saying, I think it'll work, that's good enough, should work, don't do it. Call me. It's like, don't half-ass it. You're going to try to add value to your business, and you're going to say, well, I can freaking do it cheaper than Nate Bissell. No, you can't. No, you can't. I promise you that. I'm telling you how to do it, but I'm telling you some of you will try to shortcut this. And then say, it didn't work. It didn't work. Nate's lying. No, you don't know how to do it. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect. You think you are good at something you are not. Like me, and making syrup. I'm not. Like, when I met the guys that were the best in the world, I'm like, dude, I suck at this. I realized... What's that?
So what did you do after that?
I tore all my tubing out.
Yeah.
Because I realized how bad my tubing was. So, yeah, you're going to need a tank. I would argue 2. Because you're going to need to normalize one. And then pump it to drums or totes. You don't want to stop pumping, especially guys that got 3 evaporators going, 3 guys running rigs. You're going to need to alternate. You need 2. So while you're normalizing one, getting it ready to pump to drums, you can start filling your other one. This is a smart way to do it. Once people do this, they will never go back. They'll be like, dang. It's kind of like the first time you get an RO, and you're like, what the frick? Like, why did I not do this sooner? That's what this is too. Plus, I feel pretty strongly that we are going to be integrating with producers more, because this is how we are going to compete with the Canadians. Think about the excess and the slop in our system. Producer makes it, ships it to a packer. Packer heats it up. Packer normalizes. Filters it again, which is a lot of loss. So you have extra transportation, you have extra cost, extra waste. Those are 3 things. There's like, why do it twice? So what I'm going to try to do is do what we're really good at doing, which is selling syrup. So if I go into a competitive situation and I know that I can work with a large producer that I've been working with for years, and I trust them and they trust me, I could go to a customer and say, look, I can get you Sugar House Direct syrup that is the correct density, it is organic, and it's perfect syrup because I help make it. And we can compete because we don't have the additional cost. So I really think our value is going to be selling US-based syrup without additional cost. That's waste. Customers don't want to pay for it. Every time you move it, every time you filter it, it's waste. So let's skip the whole packer step and make more money for the producers. What did I say Galt's job was? To help the producer make more money by making more syrup. That's it. So a big part of this, now here's my pitch. You ready? Is you're going to need a Galt cup. You're going to need a Galt cup. I do not want to be messing around with any of the analytical equipment. It started off as an AccuCup, and Chris made it. He had a company called the Maple Guys over in New Hampshire, and I run my company on these things. Still, they're getting pretty beat up because they get dropped. They get, I have 3 of them, but Chris sold his business. He doesn't do it anymore. He doesn't make these. They're the most important piece of equipment at Bissell Maple Farm. Number 2 would probably be a loading dock. Very undervalued thing that people probably overlook. Loading dock, Galt cup. Those 2 things would probably make us the most money indirectly, but the Galt cup's important. Anything else is only half a cup. You know what I mean? It's not going to do the whole thing. So I want to help you guys with your crop to make the most amount of syrup. And I just think integration. So there's only 3 types of relationships you can have. I learned this in grad school. There's only 3 types of relationships you can have with your spouse, with your coworker, your friend, your customers, your suppliers. It's reactive, proactive, and interactive. Reactive is everything's always a friggin' emergency. No one's planning. I'm showing up because it's, I didn't order the things and I need them overnighted and get it over here. Those are the lowest forms of relationships. Putting out fires. People who always have a fire, they are the worst sales reps because they haven't trained their customers or have the worst customers. Anyways, you don't want that kind of... When your wife's already mad at you and then you do something, that's reactive, right? Proactive is, I'm going to try to predict the needs of my customers, my vendors, my employees, and you're basically hedging with a little bit more inventory to make sure that if there is an emergency, you're set up. Proactive is in the middle. I would say we're often in that range, but it takes really high-level thinkers to be interactive. If one person is always trying to get over on the other person in the deal, those are reactive people. If both parties are trying to help the other succeed, that's an interactive deal. I like interactive suppliers, I like interactive customers, and I like interactive teammates, where it's communication. But I get fooled sometimes. I do. You see the world as you see yourself. So that's your paradigm. If you're an interactive person, you're going to assume the person across from you is interactive because you're thinking about their success. But if an interactive person ends up thinking a reactive person is interactive, I will be taken advantage of. I'll be like, man, I keep giving and they keep taking. It usually takes me a while, and that's why I have people like Adam, Fred. I have people in my circle that will say, Nate, they're a weasel. It's like, you sure? Oh yeah, they're a weasel. That's why I have them on my team. I can't see it. I just can't see it. So I want to partner with interactive people. And this is really hard to believe. I said, Fred, Fred, why does everybody think I'm trying to rip them off? And he goes, Nate, because everybody is trying to rip them off. I'm trying to help him and he thinks I'm trying to rip him. It's because it's a defense mechanism. You've been ripped off so much. You can't believe that somebody would want to help. Why would they want to help me? I'm just trying to screw them before they screw me. Dude, that is what I deal with the most. That's the most difficult thing that I deal with in the maple industry and with new teammates is they've had a bad boss and they've been screamed at and they've been treated like crap, and then we bring them in. Dude, they bring that crap with them. All the defense mechanisms for survival. And you're like, it takes us a while to let them know if they mess up, they're not going to get screamed at. In fact, every time you mess up, you're worth more money. It's the truth. So imagine somebody going from a very bad leadership culture with a very poor management into our culture, and it's like they're a beat down dog, and it's like, holy crap, man. And it takes them a while to trust. They have to see it, experience it. It takes 1 year to break it. It does. What do you think? How long does it take you to break you?
10.
That's funny.
I was in the military twice.
Yeah. But anyways, this is about proofing syrup, getting it to the correct density. It's all chemistry. And then, don't make the mistake of the person that's making the syrup have to run over and do all the normalizing and proofing. That's foolish. That's penny wise, pound foolish. So this is extra step. It's going to generate extra value for you. It's going to cost you more to make money. So you put a little bit in, you're going to get 10x out of it. Don't be cheap. That's the thing I'm telling you. So I'm only going to be able to do 1 or 2 of these this year so I can make content for you guys and show you. But I'm pretty excited about it. So I think we've picked a good partner this year, potentially 2. And I hope this is helpful. Anyways, proof your syrup. It'll go a long way for you.
Make you more money.
It'll make you more money.